we're learning that Bob Mueller wants to talk to the man who set up the Trump Tower meeting between Don Jr. and a Russian lawyer promising dirt on Hillary Clinton. The man in question is a Russian pop star who met with Donald Trump in Moscow in 2013. His father is an oligarch very close to Vladimir Putin. He appeared to embrace his notoriety, recently releasing, this is kind of nuts, a music video with a Trump impersonator, which references the salacious Trump-Russia dossier. You really got me good. He also admitted that he set up the Trump Tower meeting.
No, I said, listen, there's some people that want to meet you. They obviously want something that could potentially help them resolve things that you could be interested in, or maybe not. If you can spare 5 minutes of your time, I'd be grateful. If not, no problem. And obviously, Don Jr., big Don Jr. said, of course, you know, I'll do it if you're asking me. I set that meeting up. I know what that meeting was about. It was about nothing.
He says the Trump Tower meeting was about nothing. Apparently, Bob Mueller has some questions about that claim. This as news develops about a potential face-to-face meeting between Mueller and Trump. Now it looks like that could come sooner than anyone thought. The New York Times reporting this remarkable detail. Trump wants to get in front of Mueller so he can convince Mueller that Mueller's probe is a, quote, witch hunt. That's hubrisy. Joining me now is former federal prosecutor Daniel Goldman and former Watergate prosecutor Nick Ackerman. Two prosecutors, Amin Agalarov. That guy must be a prosecutor's dream. He loves to talk. He believes his own story. He made a video joking about the Russia dossier. I mean, I can imagine why Mueller wants to talk to him.
One of the things that I learned as a prosecutor is it is remarkable how little many witnesses understand about whether what they've done is right or wrong. And I don't mean that in the sort of larger esoteric idea, but when he says that this meeting was nothing, as he did on that clip, he has no idea whether that meeting is actually nothing or whether it means something. He certainly doesn't understand the intricacies of U.S. campaign finance law, and he doesn't understand how prosecutors put cases together. So what Mueller wants to talk to him about is, what were the conversations that preceded that meeting? What did you promise? What did you understand was going to be promised to Rob Goldstone, who was the intermediary?
Right.
What was your relationship with Don Jr.? Did you have other conversations? And he doesn't even know whether his answers are relevant or not. But he could be a very interesting witness if he agrees to meet with them.
Is there any chance of that happening?
I'd say it's almost zero. And I also think if he does meet with him, he's going to lie. I mean, he's extremely relevant. The Goldstone email of June 3rd or 4th basically says that the Russian government is backing Donald Trump for president, that they have dirt on Hillary Clinton, which we all know means the emails that were stolen out of the Democratic National Committee, as Papadopoulos has pointed out. So he knows a lot. He was told a lot. He was told about the backing of the Russian government. He also had a conversation with Don Jr. between the time of those emails and the time of the meeting. So there were a number of conversations that we don't know what was said, and I guarantee you he is not going to tell the truth on what those were about.
What's the consequence, Daniel, of a Russian national being asked to testify? He's not being subpoenaed. He's not being charged with anything. So it's not even like a government-to-government discussion about whether or not he can be interviewed by the FBI.
So it's interesting. I think there is some chance, and it's because for the same reason that the sanctions against the Russian oligarchs are so devastating is the same reason that someone like this pop star who
wants exposure, wants to be in the United States, probably wants an apartment in New York if he doesn't have one.
Exactly. So he wants to have more of a presence and existence in the United States, and he wants to be able to either, you know, he clearly is the son of an oligarch, so he's got a lot of money. And if you say, no, I'm not coming, and there's an outstanding subpoena for you to arrive here, I mean, to testify, you can come in and out. It's not, you're not going to be picked up and arrested, but you will be served with that subpoena. And if you don't show up, you could
could then turn into
yes,
crimes.
exactly. So you don't want to get on the wrong side of the Department of Justice if you are someone interested in living and existing and profiting from the United States. United States.
That's an interesting point, because this guy's becoming like the Carter Page of Russia. He likes to give interviews. He likes to talk about it. Okay, Nick, let's talk about this other matter, that the idea that Donald Trump wants to meet with Mueller so he can convince Mueller that Mueller's investigation is a witch hunt. How's that going to go over?
First of all, I don't really think he wants to do that. I mean, this is basically a good cop, bad cop situation.
Right.
He's trying to say, oh, I want to cooperate. I did nothing
So
wrong.
while Giuliani says
right.
nothing
And then when Giuliani says, you can't do it, he's going to say, well, I had to follow the advice of my lawyers. The bottom line is he wants to meet with Mueller just like he wants to go in for a root canal.
Right.
There's no way he wants to do that. And he knows that he can't go in. I mean, if he was really innocent and he really had nothing to hide, he would have gone in there a long time ago. I mean, what he has done is not the actions of somebody who is innocent and someone who has nothing to hide. He has done everything he can up to this point to avoid having to talk about this at all with the prosecutor.
How's it generally go over with prosecutors? Hey, that investigation you've got into me? It's hogwash.
How much money would you pay to watch Donald Trump try to convince Bob Mueller that the 35 indictments and guilty pleas, the exhaustive and professional investigation...
World, that would rate really well. That would actually be a good conversation, because maybe he thinks... I mean, have you dealt with people who think they can convince you otherwise about the case that you've got?
All the time. It's shocking, and particularly fraudsters. I mean, when you deal in meetings with, violent criminals, with drug dealers in particular, they know what they're doing is wrong, and they're not pretending that what they're doing is right. And mobsters as well. They know they're professional criminals. Fraudsters think they can always pull a fast one, even on the prosecutors. And they're much more difficult to break down and get them to tell the truth than more of the hardened criminals who say, I'm just a criminal. So they constantly do that, fraudsters do, and we're seeing a little bit of that dynamic with Paul Manafort as well. And ultimately, it doesn't work, and it always inures against the witness.
You think there's anything to this idea that Mueller, that Trump can submit questions, Mueller narrows it down to a couple of topics, and Trump answers in paper?
There's no way. I mean, those would be absolutely worthless. I mean, I don't see that happening at all. Look, you've got a dynamic here that is different than any other criminal investigation. It's the same thing that happened with the Watergate investigation. You've got people who are very politically high up in the government. To go in and tell the truth and tell them exactly what happened, you're out of it. You're gone. That's the end of your career. If you go in and you take the Fifth Amendment, it's as good as saying, I'm guilty. If you go in and lie, that's what they did in the Watergate case. And all of those people got convicted of perjury as well as all the other crimes they were charged with. And you see that with Don Jr. going in talking about the Trump Tower meeting. You see it with Kushner going in and talking about various meetings. I mean, I think it's just history repeating itself all over again.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.